I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony. This all began in the spring of 2001, even before the Manchester Monarchs ever played a game. And I had a chance to talk with my good friend Dick Boucher today. None of us would be here today at this great banquet without the efforts of Dick Boucher and first Monarchs president Jeff Eisenberg and Francois Elise, who was a big hockey fan and big hockey supporter. None of us would be here today at this great banquet without those three people. So you can thank them for that. You can thank Dick in person, right there. He's done a terrific job over the years. We want to thank our major sponsors of this event, Bauer, a New Car Automotive Group, also Werner Mazda, St. Paul's School, the Boston Bruins, the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, New Hampshire Distributors, the New Hampshire Mountain Kings Academy, the New Hampshire Mountain Cats Academy as well. And now we welcome with today's invocation, Father Ray Ball.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hockey players and hockey fans. Once again, my name is Father Ray Ball. I'm pastor of Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish here in Concord. And I'm very honored to be able to give the invocation at this year's Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame ceremony. I've always enjoyed hockey. I figured the closest I'd ever come to walking on water would be skating on ice. Well, please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of Claudette Levine, widow of Roland Levine from the Hall of Fame class of 2006, and Dan Esdale, great friend and supporter of our organization, as well as a former chairman of the Massachusetts Hockey Hall of Fame Committee. We also wish to extend our condolences to those of you who have lost family members and friends since our last gathering. And finally, for those family and friends who are facing health challenges, we offer most sincere wishes for their complete and speedy recovery. Hockey, like life, where it is far better when you assist, when you save, and when you have a goal. Where accountability and justice are meted out in 2 and 5 minute intervals. Where reconciliation is established through a penalty box. When change isn't delayed but happens on the fly. Where the individual sacrifices for the team, where team unity is more important than individual differences, where opposing teams are extended handshakes, where teammates become lifelong friends, and where miracles on ice truly happen and can inspire a nation. We are grateful for the ways that hockey has served as a force for good, inspiring effort, excellence, hard work, sportsmanship, drive, courage, perseverance, shaping character through competition, serving as a unifying presence for families, schools, towns, cities, churches, institutions, and our state. It has built friendships that last long after the final buzzer. As we honor those to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, we honor the way those qualities and values continue to be manifested off the ice as well. May the values and qualities of those we honor be passed forward, so that their example may continue to light the lamps in the hearts of people throughout our state. May we too strive to play the game of life with skill and grace, with courage and compassion. And may we make this prayer in faith, hope, and love to you, our Lord, our coach, and our teammate in the game of life. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Ball. And now we introduce a gentleman who has big shoes to fill here today. Normally, Senator Lou D'Alessandro reads the proclamation or the declaration, but we now welcome New Hampshire State Senator, the Honorable Pat Long, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this honor to be here. Being brought up in Manchester, hockey is embedded in my head, whether I wanted it or not. So there's a letter from the Honorable Governor Kelly Ayotte. Dear friends, I am happy to join the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey in recognizing this year's wonderful list of inductees into the Hall of Fame, and to help you recognize their many achievements and contributions to hockey in New Hampshire. All of this year's inductees have helped to highlight the athleticism, camaraderie, and important contributions to teamwork that are needed to be a great hockey player, and in turn make these inductees great contributors and supporters of the game. They have all benefited along with their path to success by mentors. All have also used these lessons and guidance to give back to the sport and the young players who came up after them. We have looked up to them as role models both on and off the ice. The individuals being recognized today have always made immense contributions to the sport and the guidance that have shown players and the importance of promoting and encouraging involvement in hockey within their communities. These Hall of Famers have all added value to the game, and their commitment has gone a long way to help promote hockey in the state of New Hampshire. I commend the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for selecting such a great group of inductees, and thank your organization for all that it has done for the sport of hockey in the Granite State. Again, congratulations to all of the inductees, and thank you for all that you have done to contribute to the sport and make hockey New Hampshire tradition loved by so many generations. Sincerely, Governor Kelly Ayotte. And just to mention, Senator D'Alessandro did not run again, and I was humbled to take his spot, but I am nowhere as close to him as I will ever be. He was a master in this, and it's going to take me years to get even close to him. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Senator Long. We appreciate you being here today. And now we welcome a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it to him anyway. The president of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, Mike Gould.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Mike Gould, president of New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. On behalf of our board of directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 23rd induction ceremony of our New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. We are sure you will thoroughly enjoy the day, and if so, we hope you will return next year as a fan of hockey, play in our golf classic, or consider donating to one of our annual supporters. Currently, 2,025 supporters are listed in the inside cover of the program. Congratulations to our 5 inductees who will be enshrined later today into the Hall of Fame. A special welcome to their family and friends, and will be enshrined later in the afternoon. Hockey has touched all of our lives in many different ways. This unique event brings the state's hockey community together, where we can rekindle old friendships, foster new ones, and celebrate the past, present, and future of hockey in New Hampshire. Of course, we are gathered primarily to honor our inductees who made significant contributions to the sport of hockey in New Hampshire. Like all of our members of the Hall of Fame, this year's inductees have given back to the sport of ice hockey and have left their unique imprint on the New Hampshire hockey landscape, and their contributions are immeasurable. I would like to recognize a few of the individuals who have joined us today. Please stand when I mention your name, and let's hold our applause until the end. Sofia Yurchkovich, our keynote speaker. Senator Lou D'Alessandro was on my list, but obviously he won't be here, but we'll miss Lou for sure. Senator Pat Long, who you just spoke to. Former UNH head coach Dick Humilli and his wife Rose, as well as current head coach Mike Sousa and 3 team members, including Colin Shank, Cy LeClaire, and Kyle Chevette. Lastly, our honored team this year, the Club National. Our story is in the program, but as many of you are aware, the New Hampshire Legends was formed in 2001 with our primary mission of honoring, celebrating, and preserving New Hampshire's rich ice hockey history while supporting the development of hockey. The first organized hockey game with rules in the United States was in 1883 on a pond here in Concord by students of St. Paul Schools, today's longtime sponsor. You can access our website by going to NewHampshireLegendsOfHockey.com. Anyone may research, then submit a nomination of deserving individual for induction. Next year, these nominations are due by March 1st. The focus of the Legends is recognizing and continue the support of growth of youth hockey in New Hampshire. We have developed several youth hockey programs. We supported several youth hockey programs with the donation of equipment. This past year, we donated equipment to the Oyster River Youth Hockey Association. We partnered with the New Hampshire High School coaches to recognize the boys and girls state all-star teams. We also partnered with the New Hampshire Prep School coaches to recognize their all-star players. We sponsored the New Hampshire High School Senior All-Star Showcase at season's end. In addition, we helped develop the boys and girls game annual Make-A-Wish, which is between New Hampshire and Vermont, high school seniors each summer. You can expect the New Hampshire Legends to continue to support hockey in New Hampshire, particularly the future of the sport at the grassroots level. I'd like to mention the sponsors. Ken mentioned them as well, but the presenting sponsor is Bauer, luncheon sponsor New Car Automotive Group, co-title sponsor St. Paul's School and Warner Mazda. We'd like to acknowledge the longtime sponsor and social hour sponsor, New Hampshire distributors Tom and Chris Brown. And this year's ring sponsor is the Boston Bruins. This year's keynote speaker sponsor is the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. Many thanks to their president, Kevin Frechette, over here. Please stand when I call your name. Autumn Haskell, Melissa Frenette, Mary Francis, Kelly Murphy, and Bobby Rodriguez. Thank you. We also have 17 gold level, 11 silver level, and 6 bronze sponsors. The gold and silver are on the walls, and you can see the bronze sponsors in our program book. Thank you for your support and generosity. Our executive director, Jim Hayes, and our entire board worked tirelessly all year to organize this premier event, as well as our Golf Classic, which is in July, and our High School Senior All-Star Showcase in March. Many thanks to all our current board members, which are listed in page 1 of the program. If everybody can stand that's on the board. No one's standing. On December 11th in St. Paul, Minnesota, 2 of our board members will be attending the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where this year Tara Mounsey is being inducted. She will be joining the following New Hampshire Legends of Hockey members into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame from last year as part of the 2002 gold medal U.S. Paralympic sled team, head coach Rick Middleton and assistant coach Tommy Moulton, who's here today. The others from the past are Hobie Baker, 1973, 2023, Katie King Crowley, Ronnie DiGregorio, 2015, who's here today. Doug Everett, 1974. 1973 was Malcolm Gordon. 1997 was Charlie Holt. 1973 was Eddie Jeremiah. And 2023, our own Brian Murphy, who's here today. Once again, our congratulations to our class of 2025 and this year's honored team, the Club National. Now I'll turn it back to Ken Kale.
Thank you, Mike. And I guess without any further ado, we will turn things over now to Tim Soucy from Club National, the president of Club National.
Joe, good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you this, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be so brief that I don't even have anything written down. When they asked me to be brief, and here's what I'm going to say. In my life, I'm a state representative, and it's good to see my good friend Pat Long. One thing I learned in the State House is when you're up at the floor and you're giving a speech, you try to keep your speech to at least 3 minutes, because if you don't keep it to 3 minutes, you lose everybody. Second thing I learned, I'm a retired firefighter in the city of Nashua. Worked for 30 years. And one thing that I realized in my firehouse is when lunch is getting ready to be served and you got a training session, you need to be quick because these guys are getting hungry and they want to eat. So I promise you I will be brief, and you're going to hear the history of the Club National. I'm going to allow the experts to give you the history on it. I'm the club president. I've been associated with the club since early 1990s. I'm going to give you a quick history of what our club is. Club is it's a social club established in 1916. 1922 is really when the hockey team was established. And growing up as a kid in Nashua, I know exactly where these people played hockey. I used to skate on Sandy Pond. We used to go to the South Common, everything like that. So I want to thank the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. It's an honor for me, my board members that are here, to be recognized and bring out the history of this hockey team that for a short time, and it was a real short time, 1922, I believe, to 1928. And I really never realized the impact that this hockey team actually had on the city of Nashua. It wasn't until I became a club member, and a few years back, I believe the Manchester Monarchs actually did a great article, and they recognized the Club National, kind of like the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, and I believe the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey were probably part of that as well. But it's an honor for us to be here today. We thank the executive board of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. And again, folks, you will hear the history. It's pretty impressive, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim. I was supposed to mention the history before he came, but here we go. A more detailed description of the team's history can be found in the program, and those wishing to view summaries from the Nashua Telegraph news articles, we invite you to our website. The Club National of Nashua was formed in 1921 as a nonprofit private club who remains actively involved in a variety of charity events for many different organizations, has been recognized for their generous donations and contributions. In September of 2012, the Telegraph had this to say about the club and its affiliation with hockey teams. In a room where club members play cards, hold meetings, and conduct business, a little-known bit of Nashua's hockey history comes alive. The faces on the young men stare straight ahead through the thick glass and has preserved their likeliness for generations. Each large black and white photo shows a hockey team representing Nashua, their bulky uniforms bearing the large N. They played their home games at Sandy Pond, then would head over to the club for enjoy a few beers. I have some members of the club that I know they enjoyed more than a few. Those faces are Club National hockey players who represented the club in the 1920s in various inner city leagues, facing off against teams from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. The names of the players attest to the staunch support of local New England talent, along with a collection of players from Quebec. Club National teams are generally a 50-50 split of Canadian and American talent, with players' names like Pelletier, Paradise, Lavoie, Larson, Jalbert, Dervaney, St. Pierre, and Phaneuf. There's no doubt the club actively supported a talented collection of Franco-American and Franco-Canadian players. Club National played hockey at Sandy Pond, which was then known as Balcombe Ice Pond, the Nashua Country Club in South Common. But members of the Club National called the rink the Pine Street Arena. With their clubhouse just around the corner, it was convenient post-game shelter for players and fans alike. Club National emerged during the 20s, a decade that saw the U.S. Olympic team win the silver medal and the Boston Bruins become the first American team to join the NHL in 1924. During that decade, Club National skated their way through some of the best amateur clubs around. The caliber of hockey was high, and Club National would feature two players whose names made it to the Stanley Cup. Ted Stackhouse of Nova Scotia won with Toronto in 1922, and Art Lesher of Fall River spent 5 seasons in the NHL with Montreal and Chicago before becoming the first American-born player to have his name engraved on the Stanley Cup with a championship win with Montreal in 1931. Art played 23 games for the Club National before moving to a stellar professional career with the Providence Reds. Nashua businessmen Gus Burke, Eddie Labine, and Wilfred Robichaud, among others, managed and promoted Club National Hockey. The team played from 1922 to 1928 and won the New England Hockey League Championship in 1927 by defeating the Lewiston St. Dom's team in a 2-game total goal final. Club National Hockey ended in 1928. However, the sense of hockey excitement created in Nashua was undeniable. Here's just one example of an article which appeared in the Telegraph, February 6, 1925. Club National lost a close one last night to at the South Common rink before 5,000 fans. Nashua's faced one of the best teams in the Northeast, the Dartmouth Grads. The final score was 1-0. Can you imagine that? 5,000 fans at an outdoor hockey game. The rink may have fallen silent in 1928, but during the time in Nashua, the Club National team certainly made a lot of noise. Representing Club National with us today is Tim, who you just met, and I have a citation for you, Tim, if you want to come back up, from the governor.
Thank you, Mike, and I just want to take a moment to thank Ed Leicius for doing lots of deep research into Club National. Appreciate that very much, Ed. We did a radio show together several months ago, and I think, Jim, that might still be on the website, right? It is, all about Club National with Ed Leicius and Ian Wood, who also did research on Club National as well. So, Ed, thank you very much. Much appreciated. And now I do believe it is time for lunch. And for that, we can thank Newcar family of dealerships. So enjoy, and we'll be back with more in, about half hour or so. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like to introduce the members of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame that are in attendance here today. And I want to remind you that we invite all of the Hall of Fame members to come up to the stage after today's induction ceremony and have a picture. Want to take pictures after the presentation today. So the Hall of Fame members that are in attendance here this afternoon: Bruce Crowder, Leo Gould. Well, you can save the applause till it's all over. Bruce Crowder, Leo Gould, Tom Moulton, John Normand, Dick Umili, Taylor Chase, Dick Boucher, Dick Roy, Ron D. Gregario, Walter Nadeau, Peter Marr, Pierre Belanger, René Leclerc, Ron Goslin, and Andre Prefontaine. Did I miss anybody? All right, now a big round of applause for all our Hall of Famers in attendance today. Thank you for being here. And one of those Hall of Famers is a gentleman I'm going to introduce you to right now. He's also a member of the board of directors of the Legends of Hockey and has just an incredible story to tell. And here is Tom Moulton. Welcome, Tom, to the stage.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see us all here supporting the greatest game on earth, for sure. Anyways, I'm very grateful the board asked me to kind of give you an update on a 10-year project that we've been working on, Rick Middleton and myself. I guess the short answer is I got recruited in the Hampton parking lot of the Hampton Post Office to be asked to be the assistant coach of the 2002 U.S. sled hockey team. It's kind of a weird place to get recruited, but Rick asked me. I said yes, and I kind of think of that Forrest Gump line, life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. And it turned out to be probably one of the greatest things I've ever been involved in, at least in my life. So what we did about 10 years ago, I went to Rick and I said, Rick, before we die, I says, we got to get this story down. It's probably one of the best untold sports stories of our time that nobody knows about. So we've been grinding it out, and like my dad told me, the toughest steel goes through the hottest fire. And I can assure you we've been doing that. We've been in the oven for a while, but we're ready to come out. Right now, what happened in 2002, the team was in shambles, the U.S. team. They started Nagano, they won one game. They lost in the Worlds. The coach quit. They asked Rick to coach. We come in. We go into Salt Lake City, host country, and it was Canada, Norway, Sweden, Japan, to be determined, and us, all right? So we were below a to be determined. The only reason this team was even in the tournament is because it was on U.S. soil. If it was in any other country, this team that you're gonna see in a minute would have never even been able, would not even have played, nobody would have known about them. So obviously the story is we beat everybody, we went 5-0, scored 22 goals, gave up 3 goals, which I think is a really pretty impressive record for a team that was ranked last in the tournament. And we went to win, and we won the gold medal in a shootout against Norway, which was over the top. I remember the front page of the Salt Lake Tribune said that Alfred Hitchcock couldn't have written a better thriller. So we're pretty excited about it. We're gonna show you a couple videos the one that when we get in the Hall of Fame, US Hall of Fame, they played a 3-minute clip that probably is the best synopsis that I've seen to kind of explain what we did and what went on. So we're going to play that now. And then we got a 2-minute trailer from our, we have a documentary coming out. I'll tell you a little bit of that after the clips are showed, where we're at with it. So enjoy the video, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Here's Hagelin, in on goal. Hagelin shoots, missed the net. The U.S. has won the gold medal.
The 2002 U.S. Paralympic sled hockey team etched its name in the history books as the first American team to win gold in the Paralympic Games. Their remarkable journey in Salt Lake City, Utah defied all odds and set the stage for the dominant success Team USA has had since. In 1994, sled hockey made its Paralympic debut. Leading up to the 2002 tournament, the U.S. had poor finishes in both the '98 Paralympic Games and the World Championships.
Pretty much just a mess team. We went to Nagano, we lost every game except for one. We were horrible.
Knowing they needed to change their play, the U.S. hired former NHL star Rick Middleton to take over as coach, even though he had no previous sled hockey experience.
I warmed them up. Blow the whistle, go this way, and then another whistle, change direction. Then I blew the whistle and went backwards. And they all stopped and looked at me. And they must have thought I was joking because they don't go backward. They knew I knew hockey, but I didn't know sled hockey all that well.
2001, Rick came aboard and just changed the whole complex of the whole team, and everybody really bought into it and started training like athletes.
At the 2002 Paralympics, the United States entered the tournament as massive underdogs. But after wins against Japan and the heavily favored Canadians, the Americans began to believe.
That's the first time the team came together. It really was. That they knew that, hey, we got a good team here.
The U.S. won all 5 of its games in the preliminary round, earning a spot in the gold medal game against Norway, the 1998 gold medal champions.
We didn't have it easy, but we won all 5 of our games, and we outscored the opposition 22-3. So it sounds like we had a cakewalk, but we knew we were in for a tough grind.
The rematch with the Norwegian team was a back-and-forth affair. The United States held a 3-1 lead, but Norway tied the score, leading to overtime.
Going into the overtime, we were nervous. That tentative, nervous play, you don't want to make the mistake that's going to cost a turnover and potentially give, the winning goal to Norway.
Following a scoreless OT, the two teams moved on to a shootout. After the first 2 rounds, the Norwegians took a 2-1 lead as they scored on both of their attempts on goaltender Manny Guerra.
So after Manny let in 2 goals, I looked out, I'm thinking, I got to say something to him. I got to motivate him some here. So I looked down to him and I go, Manny, are you going to stop one? He looks up, he says, oh yeah, coach. I said, well, now'll be a good time.
Following U.S. goals by Joe Howard and Chris Manns, the teams were deadlocked as Kip St. Germain prepared for his attempt.
I came off the bench and I'm just like, Coach, where do you want me to put it? And he's like, put it in the bleeping net. And I was like, all right.
St. Germain in on Johansson, who is also out to challenge. St. Germain waiting, shooting, scoring!
I came down and broke to the left and shot to the right. And I think I kind of caught the goalie off guard.
When he put that puck in it was just amazing. I almost felt like I scored it myself because we were that close, like going into the tournaments and stuff, and it was just amazing.
After back-to-back saves by both goalies, the game came down to Manny Guerra in net.
Here's Hagelin, in on goal. Hagelin shoots, missed the net. The U.S. has won the gold medal.
I was the last one off the bench, and I just went and dove in the pile with everybody else, and everybody's crying and hugging, and we didn't expect to win.
It's one of those things, even to this day, sometimes I got to pinch myself that, we actually really won a gold medal.
When we won and they were playing the national anthem 6 months after 9/11, it was pretty touching. There wasn't a dry eye on the ice.
In their years since their unforgettable win, sled hockey participation in the United States significantly increased, and the American teams are now the heavy favorites in every tournament they compete in.
What we did to that sport at the time, that we didn't know what we were doing, and now that team dominates. The U.S. team dominates. We set the bar for that.
We wanted to prove not only to ourselves, but to the world that we're athletes that, happen to have a disability, but first and foremost, we're athletes and hockey players.
And now, joining the list of immortals who have left an indelible mark on the game of hockey in the United States, please welcome the 2002 Paralympic sled hockey team to the United States Hockey Hall of Fame.
I've played on a lot of hockey teams, obviously, in my life, and only winners have reunions. This team had not really done very well in their past. We were only being invited because they were the host team. I didn't have visions of gold medals dancing in my head.
The only way we're going to be able to beat the Norways and the Canadas is to stay on them. And my belief is the more you keep the puck in the opposition's end, the less chance you have to get scored on.
That was ugly. I've never been a coach. All I ever heard was Paralympics and hockey. Didn't really know what sled hockey was.
Keep coaching over this for long. Mark can't take it.
There were 10 new guys that were coming for the first time to play against the best in the world.
They're going to be on the Dave A.
We didn't know what we had.
Look at the schedules and how it's got everybody, the seedings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is to be announced, and number 6 is USA.
We have a lot more fucking heart. We're in our own building, we've got our own fans. Game of your life, guys.
He's gonna give us nothing up there. We're going to take it. Bring it to me now. Talk about some respect. In 6 months, we've taken this team from worst to first.
I just want to give these guys a chance. That's all I want to do. Everybody wants to win, but how much are you ready to commit to it?
Shoot! Miss the net! The U.S. has won the gold medal!
I think that did a much better job than me speaking and telling you about it. To see it actually has a really good impact. I saw the rough cut of the movie a week ago, and it needs to get some polishing, but it's awesome. So once they tweak it, get it down to an hour and 40, we've cut a deal with NBC Peacock, and they're going to play it before the Olympics and Paralympics in Milan. I know that. We're going to try to get a premiere. Obviously, I'm from New Hampshire. Rick's from New Hampshire. Taylor Chase, 3-time medal, is in his crowd from New Hampshire. So it's a New Hampshire story, which I think is pretty cool. We're going to try to premiere it at the Music Hall in Portsmouth. So we'll try to let everybody know when we do that. You'll all be invited, and we'll have maybe a Q&A, and then play the documentary for you. This really started out, I wanted to do a movie. That kind of was great. We have the script all done, it's excellent. But I need about $22 million to do that. We don't have that right now, but hopefully this documentary will get enough people interested because it's such a great story. Very similar to Miracle in 1980. You guys remember that movie and how they did that went well. Tonight on Nesson, by the way, I got to recognize my friend Rob Ouellette. He went behind my back and raised $15,000, and Jamie Parker, who spoke last year, did an episode on Nesson that's going to actually air tonight at 8 o'clock on Nesson, which is pretty good. I got a chance to see it ahead of time. So, Rob, thank you for doing that. He went around and touched all my friends without me knowing about it. So, if you gave money, I thank Rob for doing that, but it's a great episode. I think you'll enjoy it. It's going to play for a month, I think, over that time. And I think that's about it, so I look forward to the documentary. We'll see where it goes, and it's a great way to celebrate the sport. The thing that I love the most about it is if you had a child who was in a wheelchair, to me, what really touches me, it gives them something to think about and get involved in. And I think that's important so they can have something, to look forward to. I was telling Sophia, we talked the other day on the phone, she has a friend that has cerebral palsy. And I said, watch this video I sent her from Yellowknife, Canada, where one child in the community had cerebral palsy. And everybody in the community, came out and played sled hockey with the boys. It's an incredible video. And she actually has a friend who has a cerebral palsy child, and that's the gift. And last thing I'll say is USA dominates this sport now. So we were the spark that lit the fuse and caused all the problems, but it's all good. Thank you all.
Oh, we have 3 more legends in-house that, first of all, we have to introduce. Steve Arndt. Ryan Brandt and Bill Matthews. Great to have you here. And our keynote speaker today has become very familiar to those of us who watch the Boston Bruins on a regular basis on Nesson. And since moving from Toronto to Boston in 2019 to serve as a host and reporter on Bruins telecast, the pregame show, between periods, postgame, she has really become a fan favorite. And she even shares photos on Instagram, fitness tips, suggestions for maintaining a healthy diet. She's won Emmy Awards and speaks several languages. And it all started for her when she was about 6 years old, watching NHL hockey night in Canada with her dad and her father's camcorder, and taking notes on the games and reading them like she was on television or on radio at that time, even when she was very young. And she is here today, and you are all familiar with her, I'm sure. Sofia Yurskevich from Nessen.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Thank you, Tom, for inviting me to be the keynote speaker. I truly am I hope you can feel it and see it. I'm truly touched and honored every time I'm asked to be part of any New England hockey community since moving here 6 years ago from Toronto, where in Canada we have blinders on. In Toronto, we have this reputation in the hockey world for being cocky and thinking we're the mecca of hockey. And growing up there, I thought that as well. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I would say this in Canada too. Since coming here, I realized New England really is the mecca, and I'm so touched to be part of, from minor levels to the majors to the NHL with the Boston Bruins, to be part of the community. So when I'm asked to speak, I just want to start always by thanking the people who've invited me, and I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much. So as a keynote speaker, you know, obviously we're going to honor the inductees, and congratulations to them and to making it into this Hall of Fame. And of course, they go over their careers. Mine is different. It's the career of becoming a broadcaster, not a hockey player. Full transparency, I didn't play at a high level, hockey. And I always had imposter syndrome about that, but I'm going to tell you a bit of my story. My parents are from Poland, and they immigrated to Canada in 1972. And they left communism, and they were both very poor when they left. And they had 5 kids when they came to Toronto. I'm the 4th of 5. And they both worked 3 jobs. And so my parents were working all the time to put food on the table and just to give us a good life in Canada, which they did. But because of that, they didn't have time for extracurricular activities, and all of you in this room know how much work it takes to become any athlete, let alone hockey, when you're driving all over the country and all over different states, flying sometimes into Canada to play, or Canadians coming to the US, the equipment, how expensive it is, all of that. So my parents weren't able to do that, but we did grow up watching Hockey Night in Canada. And that was like our Sunday night football. That was the big show on Saturday nights. Back before, you know, there was Netflix and the internet and all these choices. You had a couple of channels, and we all got together as a family to do that. My dad actually, like I said, he came in 1972, and we know the Bruins and what they did in that time in the history. And so he grew up watching several greats, and he learned English. He said, he learned English over time, but he really learned by watching television, and hockey was one of them. He loved the Boston Bruins. And the original 6 teams, of course, but he had an affinity to Toronto, and he loved Boston. I know they're big rivals, but for him, it was just a new thing to learn and to appreciate the game of hockey. He never played, and I always asked him, Dad, like, you didn't play hockey. There's football is really big, basketball, baseball. He does like baseball a lot, but why hockey? And you know, he said he never played, but it reminded him, my parents have very big, strong family values, and they're very humble and hardworking people. And he said that's what hockey players are. They're very humble. It's about the team. It's not about them. It's about the family. As we know, everyone who plays and makes it, they have so many people around them supporting them, whether it's brothers, uncles, aunts, grandparents taking them to games, mums, sisters. It's not just about them, and that's very true and transparent. When I interview the Boston Bruins, from Zdeno Chara, who's since retired and making it to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and big names like Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand recently made his return, they always have time for us, and they always have time to talk, and I love the demeanor of the hockey community and hockey players, and my dad said the family values the work ethic and of course the community and the humility and the game. The game is so awesome and so fun to watch, of course, but those are the reasons he fell in love with hockey. And as you heard, when I was younger, because my dad worked so much, Saturday nights were his night off, and he got to sit and watch the game, and all of us would sit with him. We wanted to spend time with him and watch, and I learned the game that way. We also, growing up in Toronto, had a ton of ponds and lakes and outdoor rinks, and being here in New Hampshire, obviously we know how fun it is to skate outside in the elements and not just inside in a rink. But with my working parents, they would often say, a lot of parents say, like, come back before dark. My mom would say, you're not allowed to come home until dark. She would make us leave the house and take our skates. So we did skate. We did play shinny growing up, go with the neighborhood kids. And she's like, you're not allowed to come back until it's dark. Like, go be outside, no TV, go do that kind of thing. So I grew up playing shinny and you know, playing that way. But like I said, never for an organized team. When I was about, 15, 16, I remember in high school we had a course called Careers, where we had to look ahead and plan what we thought our career wanted to be. And at that age, I knew I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. And I went home and I was telling my parents, and I said, you know, I think I've decided what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be a sports broadcaster. What do you think? And they kind of looked at me and laughed, and they said, what do you mean, you just figured this out? You've wanted to do this since you were like 4 years old. And I asked them I said, what are you talking about? And they found a home video of me watching Hockey Night, but my dad had a camcorder, and as like any good 80s, 90s dad, they recorded everything, always shaky. I'm sure you guys have a lot of those for yourselves, for your memories. And there's a video of me somewhere at a desk, and I'm writing, and it's really long, and he keeps asking me, am I ready? And I'm like 5 or 6, and I finally say yes, and he's like, all right, come up. And so I come up and stand in front of the TV, and again, Hockey Night's playing behind me, and I wrote my own highlights, and I was pretending to read highlights, and I got everyone's name wrong. I think I said Eric Lindros was passed to Wayne Gretzky, which made no sense, but it doesn't matter. When you're 5 or 6, that's what I was doing. I was reading highlights, and my parents showed it to me, and they said, you've wanted to do this since you were a little girl, like go for it. So it started by interning at a radio station and writing for free and getting sound for free and covering the Toronto Maple Leafs and at the time the Mississauga Ice Dogs, coached by Don Cherry, who you guys know very well because obviously he coached the Boston Bruins, and just doing a lot of labor. And one thing led to another where, you know, someone saw my work ethic and asked me to work for them, and eventually I made my way over the course of 10 years to Hockey Night in Canada, and I got to broadcast. But I want to make this story a little bit about, you know, I'm kind of pivoting here, but about last names, because when I call the game now, or anyone who's being inducted, the back of their name is their last name on the jersey, and we know a lot of players and people because of their last names. And I just want everyone to remember your last name has history, and it's the people before you that helped you get to where you are, and if you're lucky enough to have kids, and what you're going to be able to pass on. And we call last names all the time, but what's the history behind that? And when I was trying to make it still in the industry, very few females were on air, and I was pretty young. I was like 22, 23, still interning. And I wasn't on television yet, but I remember getting my first chance to be on TV. And I was so excited because I'd been working for this for a really long time. I was maybe in my mid to late 20s at this point. And my producers came up to me with my long last name, Yurkshevich, which is the bane of my existence, but I'll explain why it means so much to me right now. They asked me they told me to change my name. I said, it's too hard. People aren't going to know how to pronounce it. Yurkshevich, it's just, can you change it to something simpler? And they gave me some options, like J, it begins with a J. What about Jones? Or maybe York, Sophia York. And I was scared because I wanted this job so much and I worked so hard, and obviously when you're younger too, when there's a closed door, you think it's your last chance. And I don't know what happened in that meeting, but I just said no. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to do it. Like, you can move on to another candidate, but I'm not willing to do it. I don't know why I said no in the moment, but I went home and I really thought about it, and I was like, it's my dad. Like, my dad taught me everything I needed to know about hockey and that I wanted to know, and that I know because of him. I watched with him. He learned English. He came to Canada and was learning because of hockey. And I want to be a broadcaster. And can you imagine if I do make it one day and he's watching and it's Sophia York, when it's Yerkshevich, that's where we came from. That's what he taught me. And I said no, and I was so scared, but I got a call a couple days later, and they said, the job's yours, and you can keep the name. And I was like, okay, thank you. Now now it's a joke. Everyone asks me, do I say it right? It is hard to pronounce. It is difficult. But now when my dad is watching from home, just like if a hockey player made it onto the ice but changed their name, it's their mom and dad, it's their family that got them there. And it would be, I think, a disservice to, if I don't know, Brad Marchand picked another name and changed it. Like, that's not where you came from. So I'm so grateful to have this name, and I'm sorry to everyone who has to learn how to pronounce it. It's not the easiest, but it means so much to me. And I have a backstory, and then I will wrap because I'm going long here. But anyhow, that I wanted to share that story of like how I came up and what I learned, and what an honor it is to remember the people that got you there and your family. But really quickly, my dad his health has been bad for a while, and I go home to visit him as much as I can. Love him so much. And when I do go home, because I know of his health, I ask as many stories as I can about our history, and I record them so that I have them forever and I can pass them down. But I don't know how this came up, but in one of my last visits, and I'm in my late 30s, and I just learned this story, but we were talking about life and lineage, and my dad was born in 1941, so in Poland, and so that's during the Second World War. And he told me this story about how when Germany occupied Poland, my grandfather was in a work camp, like many people in Poland. They were in work camps. And it's a bit morbid, but I promise it does have a happy ending, but it was the reality of the time. My dad wasn't born yet. It was in 40 or even 39 when it started. But every so often, unfortunately, Poland was occupied. There would be a list curated by the German soldiers of people, and if you were on the list, you were executed. And it's obviously very terrible, and I'm sorry that this is so morbid, but like I said, it does, it comes full circle here. And one day, my grandfather was on the list, but that name, Yerkshevich, is so difficult, even in Poland, that it was misspelled by a couple of characters by the Germans. And so my grandfather got off that day on a technicality. So he wasn't even supposed to be here, and my dad hadn't been born yet, but he got off on a technicality, and then a couple of years and survived. And a couple of years later, my dad was born. When I learned that story, I was like, oh my God. Like, I am so glad that I kept that name, because I wouldn't be here without it, obviously. But I say that because, like I said, coming full circle with the names on the back of the jerseys, to be proud of, where you come from, and to broadcast that, I guess. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for having me, and congratulations to all the inductees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophia. I did, when I interviewed Sophia before the banquet today, I did mess it up. I have to admit, but I did get it right this time. Anyhow, we begin the induction ceremonies, and our first inductee today was born in Montreal. And a friend of his, I should say, first met him on the hockey rink at White Park, which everyone around here calls White's Park, in Concord, catching pucks with a baseball glove and using rolled up newspapers in his socks for pads. Now, along with his friend Jack Mudge, they became the first coaches for the Concord High School girls hockey team in 1972. And he later went on to play for the Concord Budmen. He has years of international coaching success, from Hungary to France, Germany, and Switzerland. He has established 2 hockey businesses and has touched the lives of so many, countless young goaltenders, forwards, defensemen, and future coaches. Please welcome Louis Chabot to the class of 2025 as a member of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame.
I don't know if that qualifies me for being in the Hall of Fame, but I can tell you I'm very proud to be here. I want to thank the New Hampshire Hockey Legends Committee, Jim Hayes for having me here today, and all the friends that I've seen today. A lot of people that I haven't seen for a long time, but I want to thank you for making the trip to be here. I also want to thank my mom, Jackie, who pretty much instilled all the values that I have in me today. So I also want to thank a gentleman that's sitting at my table, William Matthews, who was for a long time the hockey coach at St. Paul School, gave me a start in my career at St. Paul School back in the mid-'70s. I was just a young kid walking in with a Panthers hat, and he put me aboard to his team. So I'm very grateful for him, and I think we should give him a round of applause. I want to end this conversation with a funny story. I had the opportunity to coach a lot of good hockey players that played in Europe. Some of them were out of the NHL, some of them didn't make it, but at least they played hockey at a very high level. And there was this first opportunity that I got to get to Europe, and it was in Spain. And I went over there, and the second day that I got to meet the president, to meet the players, the president brought me into his office. I'll never forget his name. His name was Jose Miguel Gongora. He looked like he came out somewhere in the mafia. He was smoking a cigar. And he had his arms crossed. Last I've heard, when you have your arms crossed, nothing good happens from that when you're listening to someone. So he's speaking in Spanish, a different dialect, because this was in Bilbao, Spain, where all the Basques are. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. And he kept looking at me like this with his hand. So I was checking the way I was looking. Was my fly open? What the hell's going on? He's very serious, almost threatening. So he came up with a good idea. That was the only good idea he had for the whole day. He said, let me call up one of the foreigners. I had 2 foreigners playing for me at that time. Les Grauer from Saskatchewan and Rod Romanchuk from Minneapolis. They both had played for Badger Bob Johnson back then, he was a famous coach. They brought these 2 foreigners down, and they said, the president came up to him and he said, look, trying to ask me a question, and the coach doesn't understand. So I was looking at the 2 foreigners, and they were great kids. When they listened to him, and they had to basically translate what they were trying to tell me, was they put their heads down like that. Now I knew I was in trouble. I said, I might be the first guy to arrive, and we'll leave on the same day. So I go, Les, what does he want? Well, we got a limited budget this year, and we've ordered 4 dozens of CCM wooden sticks back then, and they're all lefts. I said, well, that's great. We need to get some rights shots. Well, the foreman says, well, we don't have too much money left. Your salary might be involved. I said, okay, well, wait a minute. Well, what does he really want me to do? Well, he said, if you're that good of a coach, you're going to teach the guys that shoot right, shoot left. Thank you, folks.
A native of Merrimack, New Hampshire, our next inductee played 276 NHL games with the Buffalo Sabres, Boston Bruins, and Vancouver Canucks, as well as the LA Kings, during a 10-year pro career. He was a 4-year member of the Providence College Friars, where he was a co-captain. In his senior year, named the Defensive Forward of the Year in Hockey East, and led his team to the 2013 playoffs. While with the Bruins, Tim and his brother David founded the Timmy Heads Foundation, which directs all proceeds to the Jimmy Fund and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And in 2006, he donated bone marrow to David. Please welcome Tim Schaller to the class of 2025 as a member of the New Hampshire Legends Hockey Hall of Fame.
Sophia, speaking of Toronto, made me think of one of the best moments of my career with the Bruins in 2018 when we beat Toronto in Game 7 in the playoffs. Go Bees. Thank you all for coming this afternoon, especially my family and friends who came. Thank you. And a special thank you to everyone who voted me in to be part of the family. New Hampshire has always been home for me, and hockey has always been a part of my life. Some of my favorite memories are from when the one season I had at Merrimack High School where I was able to play with my brother Dave. A coach once told me before a game to become someone's favorite player tonight on the ice. Whether it was scoring a goal, having a big hit, or fighting the other team's biggest player. Yeah, I had a few of all 3 of those throughout my career, but I don't think I was too many kids' favorite player since I specialized in dumping and chasing. And as my career was coming to an end and I got a little slower on the ice, dumping and chasing turned into dumping and changing. Playing at Providence was an incredible experience, but there were some haters along the way. A certain UNH Wildcat by the name of Paul Thompson would like to get under my skin a little bit. We had some good battles, both physically and verbally, and he'd always end it with, "You're just jealous you weren't good enough to play for your hometown team, UNH." And I was like, shoot, he's right, I'm jealous. Being considered a New Hampshire hockey legend is something I never thought I would be a part of. When it comes to my family, my parents and brother, I consider myself bottom of the list compared to everyone else with being considered a legend. My brother Dave, when I was playing with the Bruins, created the Timmy Heads Foundation, contributing almost $40,000 to the hospitals that once helped him when he was in need. That's a legend. But the real legends are our parents, waking up in the middle of the night to water their backyard rink in the freezing cold, or waking up early to get us dressed and then drive an hour to practice, or dealing with my whining on the backyard rink because Dave was playing too physical, and my parents would say, "Get back out and hit him harder." Our parents are the real legends. Thank you for everything you've done, because without your efforts, none of this would be possible. Love you guys. Cheers, thank you.
Our next inductee grew up in Derry, New Hampshire, played 2 seasons at Pinkerton Academy before joining the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs of the Eastern Junior Hockey League. And then it was off to UNH for 4 seasons under New Hampshire legend of hockey, Dick Umili, who's in the building today. In 2011, he was named Hockey East Player of the Year after scoring 52 points in his senior season. After his collegiate career, he signed a contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins and went on to play from 2011 to 2023 in pro hockey, including in the NHL with the New Jersey Devils and the Florida Panthers. And please welcome Paul Thompson to the class of 2025 as a member of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you. To Tim, I think you got the last laugh with the games played and a heck of a career. And but seriously, it was always fun playing against you, and I know you did things the hard way and the right way. So I always appreciate it and was always happy to see your success. First off, thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame for this great honor, and congrats to all the other inductees. Especially meaningful to share this day with people I've crossed paths with over the years. Tons of familiar faces that I didn't know that would be here today, but the other inductees, Tim Schaller, Coach Grassi, and Scott Crowder. So it's pretty special to be with them. Where are you from? That's a question I've been asked countless times. And to this day, my immediate answer is New Hampshire. I was fortunate to play in this state most of my life with the Manchester Flames and Western Wolves in youth hockey, the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs at Pinkerton Academy, and lastly at the University of New Hampshire. Being recognized today makes me appreciate how lucky I was not to be pulled away from home. Hockey's journeys all look different. They lead to different places. But until I was 22 years old, I was fortunate to spend most of my days on the ice right here in this great state. For me, the special thing about hockey has always been the people, the coaches, managers, teammates, trainers, fans, and family. To thank them all, I'd be here all day. But I do want to thank a few that are here. Coach Trombley from Monarchs, I can never appreciate the opportunity you gave me, or thank you enough. Coach Umili is here today. Coach Coach Borick and Coach Lasan for the opportunity to play at UNH. A lifelong dream since I was a kid. And Shanker as well, always great to see you, and I appreciate our time together there. And then Mike Souza, current coach, my cousin, so I don't know if my dream would have been realistic if it wasn't for seeing you play. My mother, Susan, my father, Paul, my sister and brother-in-law, Brittany and Eddie, my aunt and uncle, Michelle and Dave. It means the world that you two are here today and how much you supported me throughout my life. And then most importantly and lastly, my children, Charlie and Colette. The sacrifice and support you've all given me are things I'll be forever thankful for. Every personal moment I've had is memorable, not because of what happened, but because of who I shared it with and the sacrifices those around me made to be a part of that dream. In my eyes, those moments weren't mine, they were ours. A few of these moments, there was a game against Providence, I think my freshman year. Tim wasn't there yet, or it probably wouldn't have happened. We won 5-4 in overtime, and somehow I had 3 goals and 2 assists. But what made it special was looking up and seeing friends and family filling the stands and spending time with them after the game. My first NHL exhibition game, not overly memorable for most. I don't remember the score, I don't remember who we played, I don't remember how I played, but I do remember my dad dropping everything and getting to Pittsburgh to be there, like he always was. I once scored an overtime game winner in an outdoor game in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was an exciting game for sure, playing in front of 17,000 people in an intense AHL rivalry. But I remember most of seeing my parents after the game, just as though they had been there so many times before to share that moment together. My first NHL game was in New Jersey. I shared that moment with my sister, who spent more time in the rink than any sibling should have to, and my dad, who quietly watched his son live his dream. My best friend from Pinkerton, Nick, was there too, someone I had shared this dream with since we were kids and probably played out that scenario hundreds of times together. When I got my first call up with Florida, the game happened to be in Boston. Family and friends came from all over. I'll never forget seeing so many familiar faces afterward, and all the text messages I received, all genuinely happy just to share that moment with me. Having both my young children in the building for that game is something I'll always cherish, and I'll always be reminded that I took a slap shot from Chara to a certain area from my Uncle Rick, who apparently is all he remembers. My greatest hockey memory, though, was being part of the Florida Panthers Father's Trip. I wasn't allowed to be on the roster at that time, so my dad used his Southwest points to buy refundable tickets just in case I was sent back. Keith Yandel joked on the plane, "I heard you flew down Southwest. Isn't that the one they heard you on like cattle? If you want, you can fly back on the private plane I got from my dad." So we were in a little different spots there. I'm thankful that trip didn't require a refund. My time in the NHL was short, but to share even a little bit with my dad, someone who supported me quietly, listened when needed, and never made it about himself, is something I'll always be grateful for. Thank you, Dad, for always being willing to listen and having a calm presence no matter the situation. Thank you, Mom, for being quite literally the complete opposite. Quiet has never been a word used to describe you, but your love and support are unmatched. In your eyes, I was always the best player on the ice, even when I was competing against Connor McDavid and Patrice Bergeron. Thanks for always believing in me. Thank you, Brittany, for sacrificing so much, my sister, and for always being there when it mattered most. Your love and passion for your family are inspirational, and I look up to you for that. And my kids are so lucky to have you as their aunt. Thank you, Eddie, for dealing with Brittany. But seriously, you've always been there for me and took far too many long car trips with my aforementioned mother to see me play. Lastly, my children, Charlie and Colette. Charlie randomly asked me the other day, "Ted, do you remember those days?" And he was referring to, skating after practices in Bridgeport and being at games and being in the locker room. I can tell you, I'm so grateful you're old enough to see me play and be a part of my journey. Old enough to remember being in the stands, joining me on the ice after practice, and running around the locker rooms. So yes, buddy, I will forever remember those days. Those memories mean everything to me. You two are my entire world, and I will forever be your biggest supporter in everything you do. Always believe in yourselves and dream big. When you believe in yourself and have a support system that believes in you, anything is possible. In my mind, we are always a team. Any moment or success I enjoyed was made possible by sport, sacrifice, and love of so many others. Thank you all for being a part of my journey, and thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for this incredible honor.
A native of Somersworth, our next inductee played at Somersworth High School before moving on to Berwick Academy and was named MVP at Berwick. He went on to UNH as a walk-on, but had a full scholarship after his freshman year, going on to become a Rod Langway Award winner and team captain at UNH. After a 3-year pro career, he started coaching under Charlie Holt at Berwick Academy and took over as head coach in 1997. He went on to coach various junior teams in the area. His dad, Jerry, and Jerry's friend, Bob Brown, founded the Seacoast Spartans. After Jerry's death in 2002, he took over as director of the program, and in 2008, when Jerry was inducted as a member of the Legends of Hockey, he accepted on behalf of his dad. And now he joins him in the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2025, we welcome Chris Grassi.
Aging myself a little bit. Louis and I, the only two with ties. I also don't have my speech on my phone, so it's out here. And unfortunately, I do need the glasses to see it. So I know Murph didn't want me to do this, but we missed a couple of Hall of Famers that are here. We got Brian Murphy and we have Eric Royal. So I wanted to call that out. First off, a quick congratulations to the other 4 inductees. A benefit of New Hampshire hockey is that it's such a small, tight community. As Paul mentioned, we've got a lot of overlap here. I know 3 of the other 4 inductees personally, and I was actually fortunate enough to be able to coach both Scott and Paul for a time when they were playing juniors for the Monarchs. So again, congratulations, as all 4 of you are well-deserving. One small critique to the organizers before we get going. I was really hoping I could have been the first player up here to speak today, so I didn't have to follow the 2 NHLers. I've always been a good role player, and in my mind, I pictured myself as the warm-up band for the big show, but here we are. So I'll apologize to Paul and Tim now, just in case I end up stealing the show here. So As Ken mentioned, I did induct my dad in 2008, so it's not my first time up here. But I do want to apologize for back then using an inappropriate word. But to my defense, I was told to really paint a picture of the individual. And for those of you that know my dad, you really couldn't do that without some level of profanity being used. So I promise I'll be good this time. But in all seriousness, thank you to the committee members that decided to induct me, and to those that maybe pressured some of the others that might have been on the fence. Being totally honest here, when Dwayne Robinson called me to let me know I was being inducted as a player, I was pleasantly surprised. I think if you look at the full body of work as a player, as a coach, as a builder, I'm comfortable that there's a strong resume there. But player only, I can build a case either way for that. So again, thank you all so much. I don't think anyone starts playing hockey at age 5 or 6 hoping it's going to lead to being inducted into any type of Hall of Fame. You play because it's fun. Growing up, playing youth hockey, high school, and then a year of prep, as a defenseman, I was always relied on to contribute offensively on all of those teams. But once I got to UNH, I could see that probably wasn't going to continue. So it was decision time for me. And it was pretty much adapt or die. But I've never had a problem being a role player and doing whatever was needed for the team. So if you need me to be a defensive defenseman, and if I do that, I get to keep playing, I mean, is just a trick question? Like, I'm in 100%. So by gladly accepting that role, I was able to play 4 years at UNH and then 3 more in the minors before deciding to move on in life. However, as Tim has mentioned, similarly, a defensive defenseman is not really a position that puts you in the limelight and builds stats for a Hall of Fame resume. I didn't play hockey for the accolades or praises of others. I played hockey because I loved it. That said, at this time, looking back, I'll tell you that it does mean a lot to have those efforts acknowledged here publicly today. It really does. So again, thank you to those that decided to give me this honor. I was born in 1967, and don't worry, this is not going to be a life history, but the year is important. So at the time in the Somersworth area, there were no ice arenas. That part of the state didn't have the deep hockey history like a Berlin or a Concord or a Manchester. As Sophia had mentioned, it was because of Bobby Orr and the big bad Boston Bruins of the early 70s that hockey boomed in New England. And thankfully, it worked its way up to our part of the state. The Rochester Arena was built in 1972, and a few years later, the Dover Arena opened its doors. But just having the arenas now wasn't enough. We needed coaches. And back then, coaches were your parents. And other than a few transplants from out of town, the vast majority of our parents had no experience playing hockey at all. But they stepped up, and they came out there learning how to skate themselves, wobbling all over the ice as they're trying to do their best to teach us the game. But I think back now, and without those two major factors, the Bruins with the rinks being built and the parent volunteers stepping up, You know, I'm never introduced to this game. I never have the opportunity to play. And other than my family, it was the number one passion in my life for 40 straight years as a player, coach, and then director. So a huge thank you to all of those volunteer coaches who stuck their necks out, sacrificing their own personal embarrassment to give us kids the opportunity to play the greatest game in the world. One more acknowledgement. For those of you that know me well, you know how much this person means to me. For those of you that don't, this person truly prefers to fly under the radar. So this is really going to get me in trouble. It's my wife, Sherry. Sherry, can you raise your hand, please, so everyone can see you? Right, and you're. I was going to say your whole hand and not just one finger to me, but you were good, so I appreciate that. Yeah, that's going to come later, I promise. So, Sherry and I started dating way back while I was playing. Then she stuck with me as I finished playing. Then, after getting my MBA and deciding to coach full time, yes, that really happened. And then running the Seacoast Spartans after my dad passed. But not only did she tolerate it, but she supported it every step of the way, all while working full-time and either carting the kids to the rinks herself or coordinating their rides all across New England as they both played through youth, high school, and then in college. So thank you, Sherry, for being the rock that has kept our family together and allowed me to do all of that fun stuff with the game. So, lastly, it's obvious, you know, that hockey is a huge part of my family. My dad coached, officiated, although he wasn't a good ref. A little too confrontational, but he found his niche, so went on to direct the Seacoast Hockey League for 25 years, founded the Spartans, and as Ken mentioned, also a New Hampshire Hall of Fame inductee in 2008 as a builder. You know, and I've got to say, it's pretty cool being able to join him now. I stopped as a coach and administrator in 2013. To be honest, I just needed a break. And up until that time, I was so busy with those tasks that I had no time to play and never really thought I would again. But the prospect of possibly playing men's league with my son got me thinking about it again. So around 2020, I slowly started getting back on the ice, and now it's safe to say I've come full circle back as a player. I skate at least twice a week all through the year, and now play in 2 leagues in the winter. And starting this year, I'm finally playing in an over 30 men's league on a team with my son, which is also pretty cool. I plan to keep it going for as long as I can, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to hang on long enough until Johnny's eligible for the over 45 Monday Night League in Dover, but I'll give it my best shot. So again, thank you to the organizers of this great event, and for the 4th time I know, but to those on the committee that decided to induct me, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
We have another father-son combination coming right up. And growing up in a hockey family, and I see his dad Bruce in the crowd today in Nashua, this inductee was a state champion at Bishop Girton High School under New Hampshire legend of hockey, Gary Bishop. He also played 3 seasons for the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs prior to his 4-year career at UMass Amherst, and was a member of the NCAA Hockey East All-Academic Team. In 2010, he approached the town of Meredith, New Hampshire, to promote his vision to launch the New England Pond Hockey Classic. And since that time, the Classic has drawn thousands to Lake Winnipesaukee every year to witness pond hockey on 26 rinks each winter. Please welcome Scott Crowder to the class of 2025 as a member of the New Hampshire Legends Hockey Hall of Fame.
All right, Coach Grassi, I have paper and glasses. All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's an incredible honor to be standing here today as part of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, to be recognized by this community, by the people who have helped shape the game across this state and beyond. It's truly humbling. I want to start by thanking the board, the organizers, and everyone involved in today's ceremony. The work you all do to celebrate the history of hockey in New Hampshire is important. It ensures that the stories, the memories, and the people who built this game here never fade. I'm honored to have a small part in that legacy. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees today. As they mentioned, 3 are folks that I've shared the ice with, either as players, competitors, or as a coach. To be recognized alongside you is something I'll always remember. I don't have any trash talking stories about those 2, but I'm sure there was some along the way. I grew up in a hockey family. I don't think I ever chose the sport of hockey. I think it was something I was born into. From the games of mini sticks in the basement with my brother, to tagging along with my dad's teams, to being driven all over New England by my mom, the ultimate hockey supporter. Thank you for everything you did for our family and our hockey pursuits. Hockey wasn't just an activity in the Crowder house. It was a cornerstone of my childhood. As I look back now, I realize that that cornerstone became a foundation for my professional life. Hockey's always been a family affair. My father, as many of you know, was inducted into this Hall of Fame about 10 years ago. To be now standing here joining him is incredibly special. My dad passed his love for the game on to me. His passion for the game, his belief in community, and his reminder that hockey should always be fun is something that has guided me every step of the way. This is the same spirit and love for the game that led me to create the Pond Hockey Classic. What started as a vision to create an outdoor hockey experience for the passionate hockey community here of New England has grown into something far bigger. It's a celebration of everything we love about the game. Its simplicity, its camaraderie, and that childlike joy that comes with stepping onto a frozen sheet of ice. 17 years later, the Pond Hockey Classic has become more than just a tournament. It's a tradition. We've hosted thousands of players and fans across our events in New Hampshire, Vermont, Montana, New York City, and now Minnesota. We just acquired the U.S. Pond Hockey Championships. I've had a lot of conversations recently with a lot of Minnesota folks that believe they invented the game of hockey, but I've been really proud to be able to tell them that it started right here in New Hampshire. The success of the Pond Hockey Classic would not be possible without the people who make it happen, our staff, the local businesses, the sponsors, and the communities that open their arms to us every winter. From early morning ice checks to late night laughs and snowstorms in between, it's always been a team effort, and I'm forever grateful for the team that has worked to make the Pond Hockey Classic a reality every winter. I want to thank my family, first my wife, who's been through it, who's been by my side through it all. She has to balance the uncertainty and stress and dealing with me pulling my hair out about Mother Nature every single winter, and she still encourages me to continually follow my passions in business and in life. I love you. To my girls, I hope you find something in life that gives you what hockey has given me. Not just the joy and passion, but experiences that shape you, life lessons that ground you, a professional purpose that inspires you, and friendships that last a lifetime. 2 of my best buddies are here today, guys I met through the sport. Some of my favorite hockey memories aren't from the big games or the championships. It's the times we spent together in the locker room, sleepovers between games, and on the McPhee backyard rink in Wyndham. Thank you guys for skating through this life with me. Hockey at its core is about connection. It connects generations, communities, and people from every walk of life. Whether it's played in front of thousands or on a frozen pond behind the house, the feeling is the same. It's pure, it's joyful, and it's something we all share. So as I stand here today, I am filled with gratitude for my family, my friends, my teammates, my coaches, and everyone who's helped me along the way. I'm incredibly grateful for the sport of hockey. Being a part of this Hall of Fame isn't a culmination of something, it's a reminder to keep giving back, to keep growing the game, and to make sure the next generation has the same opportunities that we have. Thank you for this incredible honor. I'm proud to be part of the New Hampshire hockey community and part of this great club.
A reminder again, if you haven't checked under your seats yet, do so now and see if you have a logo under there of Club National. It's a big N, and there you go. If you have one, bring it up to my right here where the sweaters are and collect it right after the program today. And right now, want to welcome to the podium the Vice President of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, Dwayne Robinson, to announce the team that we will honor in 2026. Dwayne?
That's not for me, that's for all of these guys that were just inducted today. Congratulations to you all, and thanks for everybody that is in attendance this afternoon. Next fall, the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey will shine a spotlight on a high school hockey program that has become a symbol of excellence, teamwork, and community pride. At the induction ceremony on October 25th, we'll honor a team whose legacy has been built on decades of dedication of players, coaches, and alumni alike. With a remarkable record of 8 Division II state championships, 1995, 2004, 2005, 2008, 2011, 2015, 2021, 2023. Hold, I'm out of breath. This program has consistently set the standard for success. Each generation has carried the torch, adding new chapters to a story defined by resilience, unity, and a passion for the game. Coaches of the championship teams in attendance: Ray Terrell, Mike Young, Steve Ricker. Former and current coaches Brian Murphy, Dan Raposa, Tyler Briand are also here. Please join us in honoring next year's celebrated team, the Green Wave of Dover High School.
Well, I think that will pretty much wrap it up. Am I right, Jim? We've covered all the bases, and we thank you all very much for attending here today. And thanks to all of our sponsors. Once again, Bauer, New Car Automotive Group, Werner Mazda, St. Paul's School, the Boston Bruins, the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, New Hampshire Distributors, Mountain Kings Academy, Mountain Cats Academy, and again, our honored team, Club National of Nashua. Thanks for attending. Have a good night, everybody.